Chess is fun for players of all levels. I'm excited to teach you how to play. These are your pieces. White always goes first, and then players take turns moving one piece at a time. The goal is to trap the other player's king with your pieces. So let's start by learning how each piece moves. Let's start with the king, the most important piece in the game. The king can move one square in any direction. Drag your king to capture the star. Nice! Now capture the next star. Keep it up, one more star to go. Good job, now you know how to move the king. Next, let's learn how to move the queen. The queen is the most powerful piece. It can move any number of squares up, down, sideways, or diagonally. Use the queen to capture the star. Exactly. Now move the queen multiple times to capture the star. Keep it up and capture the last star. Good job. Now that you know how to move, time to meet the rook. It can move any number of squares up, down, or sideways. Can you use the rook to capture the star? You got it. Capture the next one. Great job. Capture one last star. Excellent. You're picking this up fast. Next is the bishop. It can move any number of squares diagonally. Use the bishop to capture the star. And the next one, last one, you're doing great. Amazing. Now that you know how to move the bishop, there are only two more pieces to learn. This is a knight. The knight moves in an L shape. The knight is the only piece that can jump over other pieces. Try moving your knight to capture the star. Take a few moves to capture the next star. Nicely done. One last knight capture. Well done. Let's keep moving. Last is the pawn. It moves one square forward or two squares on its first move. Try moving the pawn one square forward. Great. You start with more pawns than any other piece, so understanding how they move will be key to your game. Try moving the pawn two squares on its first move. Good, now you know how pawns can move. Pawns have another quirk. They can only capture diagonally. Move up and then capture the star. Nice! Pawns are the only piece that can promote to any other piece when they reach the other side of the board. Move to the end of the board and select the queen to promote your pawn. Looks good. It usually makes sense to promote to a queen since it's the strongest piece. Pawns have a unique ability called en passant. If an opposing pawn moves two squares and stops beside your pawn, you can still capture it. Capture this pawn en passant by imagining it had only moved one square. Nice capture. En passant is somewhat rare, but it will come in handy eventually. Now that you know how to move your pieces, let's go over some chess basics to help you play confidently. Capturing your opponent's pieces is key to gaining an advantage. Here, your queen could capture this pawn, but what if a rook is protecting this pawn? You could capture that pawn, but the rook would capture your queen right back. Instead, the other pawn is unprotected. Go ahead and capture the free pawn. Nice, it's always great to capture a piece for free. Choose a pawn to capture. Make sure it isn't protected. That's right, that pawn was not protected by the queen and safe to capture. Which piece is safe to capture? Good choice. The queen was unprotected and safe to capture. Which piece should the white knight capture? Remember, knights can jump over other pieces. Exactly. The bishop was protected, so capturing the rook makes sense. When the king is threatened by another piece, it is in check, meaning the king could be captured if something isn't done next turn. Move your bishop to put the king in check. Good job. The king is in check and would be forced to move. Only one of your pawns can put the king in check. Which one is it? That doesn't put the king in check. Try again. That's right. Since pawns capture diagonally, checking the king is done in the same way. When your king is threatened, it has to get out of check on your next turn. Can you get out of check by moving your king? Nice! By moving the king, you've escaped check. Can you get out of check by capturing the queen? Sweet. By capturing the queen, you've escaped check. Can you get out of check by blocking with the rook? You've got it. The three ways to get out of check are to escape, capture, or block. If the king can't get out of check, that's checkmate, and the game is over. Checkmate your opponent's king with your rook. Great job. Their king can't capture, move, or block. That's checkmate. Can you find checkmate with one of your rooks? The king can escape check. That's not checkmate. Try again. What if you move one rook to the far left of the board? That's the winning move. Their king has nowhere to run, and that's checkmate. Can you find checkmate? Remember, your king will protect your queen if you put it near it. That's not checkmate. Try again. Your queen has a safe square near the black king that will be checkmate. Exactly. The black king can't capture your queen because your king would capture it back. That's checkmate. Castling is a special move that moves the king and rook at the same time. This is a great way to get your king to safety. Move your king 2 squares at once to the right and see what happens. Castling protects your king in the corner and brings your rook into the game. You can castle in either direction. Try moving your king 2 squares at once to the left. You got it. Castling is an important skill, but there are some rules to keep in mind. Castling requirements include your king and rook have never moved. You aren't in check. You won't enter check by castling, and the spaces between the two pieces are empty. In this position, your king can't castle to the left because it would move into check from the rook. However, your king is safe in the other direction. Practice castling to the right. Nice. In general, it's good to castle early in the game to keep your king safe.